Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Karen Mendelsohn, who's the Senior Vice President of Marketing with Mohawk. Karen, how you doing?
I am well, thank you. How are you, Kemp?
I'm good. You've been with Mohawk about 4 months. I want to talk about your decision to join Mohawk and some of the things you're focused on. Let's start out, if you will, with your background. Super impressive education background. You went to the Wharton School, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude, with looks like dual majors in business and psychology. And then you got an MBA at Columbia University, top 5% of your class in marketing and finance. And that's super impressive. Congratulations on that background.
Well, thank you very much. That was a number of years ago, but I appreciate the congratulations.
Well, those are impressive schools. We do in this business have some people with some great backgrounds. I got to compliment Mohawk. I think Mohawk's doing a good job of blending both people who have a flooring background and then people like you who can bring maybe some fresh insight to some decision-making processes. The fact that you're female and the fact that you've got this high-ranking job makes you one of the highest-ranking females in the business. So that's probably a smart move since, at least on the residential side, that's who the consumer is, right?
Exactly. And, while I do not view myself from that perspective, I see myself as a business person who brings a business perspective to the executive leadership team here at Mohawk Industries. I do think and I do commend the leadership here at Mohawk for recognizing the importance of having the voice of the primary demand driver for residential and to some extent commercial carpet, recognizing that that individual is a female. And having that female voice at the table with a strong voice as part of the executive leadership team. And I think it's just a great testament to Mohawk that they're embracing the diversity of our primary target audience.
I should probably do a quick caveat. Obviously, Andrea Greenleaf, who's the owner of Royalty, also high-ranking female. So real quick, let's go after education. You've spent almost 27 years with Masco, another $8 billion company. Just a couple brands there, Delta Faucets, Behr Paint, Cabinets, a lot of strong branding there. So you've got a great background in branding, and that's what you're going to be focused on here as well. And even before that, you worked for an ad agency and worked on some Procter & Gamble brands. So that's where much of your experience is, right?
That's correct. Although I would also say that while brand is certainly a very critical aspect of my background and what I'm able to bring here to Mohawk Industries with the management, the luxury of the management of a portfolio of brands, I also bring a great deal of experience in a number of the other strategic aspects of the marketing function. That would include, more recently, e-business and the whole digital experience, which is critically important, in-store merchandising, promotional activity, strategic pricing. In my prior roles, product development and product management, and really bringing and making sure that all parts and pieces of a company and therefore then a brand or a portfolio of brands go-to-market strategy is all integrated and aligned where the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. I also bring to the role, because I have had 30 years already of experience in building products, an understanding of the macro trends that are driving forces in the building products industry, as well as an understanding of the channels and the way they do and do not complement each other. So I bring a broad perspective to Mohawk from an overall strategic and marketing point of view.
Mm-hmm. All right. So why did you make the move to Mohawk?
It was a match made in heaven, I would say. I had retired from Masco in May of 2014, my husband and I were able to realize our long-term dream of moving to Georgia to be close to my adult daughter, who's an attorney. And after about a year and a half of living in the Atlanta area, Mohawk actually found me.
And how does Mohawk's business differ from what you were doing, at Masco?
Well, it's quite different because I was never in the flooring industry. And while, as you noted, I have extensive experience in plumbing, in paint, in cabinetry, in windows, in bath hardware and accessories, and a number of other finished goods products in building products, flooring is in and of itself its own separate entity, and it is probably the most complex business that I've ever had the opportunity to experience, because it has complexity on a number of different dimensions, as we are a business of all flooring surfaces serving all segments of the market, both residential as well as commercial, independent retail, home center, etc. And then the complexity of the different operations, the complexity of the different fibers, the complexity of the different channels. It is really a terrific opportunity to be able to, at this point in my career, 30 years in, be on such a learning curve, but also to be able to leverage the bigger picture building products knowledge that I have and bring that to bear.
Okay. And here's a question I love to ask is, who is the customer, do you think?
The ultimate customer is always where the demand gets created. So in our case, for Mohawk Industries, the customer on the residential side is, in fact, the consumer, the female influencer. Now, there are many, many, many stakeholders in that process, and many, many, many influencers. And that's not to say that they have less value. But at the end of the day, on the residential side of our business, it is, in fact, that female head of household, whether she's single or married or living in multifamily or living in a single-family home. A little bit different on the commercial side. On the commercial side, the primary influencer, more and more and more, is that architect designer, particularly for large jobs and projects. But then there are also the end users within the different segments that are becoming very important. So I do think that the ultimate customer depends on whether you're looking at residential or you're looking at commercial. But in my point of view, it's always the end user. And then the other influencers in the channel are really enablers in order for the product to get to that ultimate demand driver.
Yeah, let's focus on carpet for just a quick second. You're probably aware now that you've been here 4 or 5 months that the price of carpet on the residential side, the average price per yard, it went down last year. And one key question I'd love to ask is what's the solution for making sure that the big suppliers in this industry compete on more than just price?
Innovation, innovation, innovation. But innovation that is not just the manufacturers talking to ourselves because we can do something with a particular fiber or a particular twist, but innovation that really starts from the market and works its way back. So a real understanding of that end user, what is it, where are their gaps in their experience, whether they can articulate it or not, we should be able to have the insights to understand where there's opportunity and then work our way back from there to make sure that we address those needs in a way that is unique and differentiated and worth paying more from that end user perspective.
I love it. I love it. It's a great answer. Oh, we're about to run out of time. I really appreciate, hopefully we can continue to do more and more of these interviews and get into some other details around channel strategy, a host of topics we could talk about. Great to catch up with you this first time. Again, been talking to Karen Mendelsohn, the new Senior Vice President of Marketing at Mohawk, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.